What's up, Taiwan? I'm Louise with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. US President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping have met for what is likely their last time on the sidelines of an economic forum, looking to lay the groundwork for future relations between their countries. Louise reports from Peru.
Taiwan, trade and the incoming US administration were all on the agenda at the final meeting of US President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping here in Lima, Peru. The two met on the sidelines of the APEC summit, looking to lower tensions between the two countries before the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump. Trump has promised sharp policy changes and pledged steep tariffs on imports of Chinese goods, all of which Beijing opposes. But during the meeting, Xi made clear China is ready to work with Trump.
既关乎两国人民，也关乎人类前途命运。中美双方要从两国人民福祉和国际社会共同利益出发，做出明智选择。
Meanwhile, Biden echoed a message he's been sending throughout his term.
And so, our two countries cannot let any of this competition veer into conflict. And as I said, that's our responsibility. And over the last 4 years, I think we've proven it's possible to have this relationship.
Also on the agenda was Taiwan and the South China Sea, which Xi called, quote, red lines and not to be challenged. Lowering tensions with China has been a goal for Biden before he leaves office. But with Trump's potential policies looming and China's own regional stances, the US-China relationship looks uncertain in the years ahead. Scott Huang, Harel Hughes and Louise in Lima, Peru for TaiwanPlus.
It's been an eventful APEC for Taiwan. Here's a look at some key events from this year's forum. This picture will be one of the defining ones of the APEC Leaders Summit for Taiwan, an impromptu meeting between its envoy to the forum and US President Joe Biden. During the brief chat, Taiwan's envoy Lin Xinyi, a former economy minister, invited Biden to visit Taiwan in the near future and thanked him for his contributions to promoting Taiwan-US issues over his 4 years in power, according to the Taiwanese delegation.
我们见面，我想很重要的就是，首先就是要谢谢他长期对我们的支持。
The interaction cannot be described as official, though, because of a lack of diplomatic ties between the two countries, owing to pressure from China, which claims Taiwan as its own. The White House described the encounter as just a handshake. But APEC, or Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summits, do allow for high-level interactions between Taiwanese and other officials, giving Taiwan an opportunity to push back against Chinese attempts to isolate it on the world stage. In this year's summit in Peru, Lin met with US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. They talked about how to strengthen the Taiwan-US partnership, according to the Taiwanese delegation. Another goal for Taiwan at the Economic Forum has been to lobby support among members of a trade pact to let it join. Taiwan and China both applied to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP, in 2021. Taipei argues applications should be decided on merit and not politics.
最重要的是扩大 CPTPP 在国际间的 GDP 的能量，因此呢，不应该有任何政治的考量。
But some observers say this forum was not the right time or place to lobby for support for Taiwan's entry to the trade pact.
This was an APEC meeting, not a meeting for CPTPP applicants. Ultimately, though, CPTPP operates on consensus, and I think it's fair to say that there are a couple of countries in the CPTPP that are not going to approve Taiwan's membership until China's membership is approved.
More broadly, this year's APEC, a meeting of 21 economies that border the Pacific, was defined by an absence of US leadership. President Biden, now a lame duck president, and his successor Donald Trump having won election promising protectionist trade policies. something at odds with APEC's aim of reducing trade barriers.
I don't think the APEC summit this year was particularly successful for any of the member economies, including Taiwan, or Chinese Taipei, as it's known at APEC. With the U.S. president in transition from one administration to the next administration, there really wasn't the presence of the economic powerhouse there.
While that U.S. absence was felt, China's presence was clear. President Xi Jinping announced his country will host APEC in 2026, another potential challenge for Taiwan as it tries to use this economic forum to further its international power. Scott Huang, James Lin and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus. During a radio interview, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has urged his country to find a diplomatic end to its war with Russia by the end of next year.
А з нашого боку ми повинні зробити все, щоб у наступному році ця війна закінчилась дипломатичними шляхами.
Zelenskyy said that peace can only be achieved when Russian forces leave all occupied Ukrainian territories, including Crimea. He acknowledged that Russian President Vladimir Putin is not currently open to peace talks. Zelenskyy suggested the war could end more quickly after Donald Trump becomes US president, though he did not elaborate. Moscow has expressed openness to negotiations if Trump initiates talks. 8 people have been killed and 17 injured in a mass stabbing at a vocational college in eastern China. Police say the 21-year-old suspect, a former student, was motivated by grievances against the school. The stabbing comes less than a week after a deadly car ramming attack in the south of China, which killed 35 people and injured 43. Over 1 million people in the Philippines have evacuated as Super Typhoon Man-yi slams into the country's largest island. The storm has brought strong winds and heavy rains, damaging homes and infrastructure on the island of Luzon. The government has not reported any deaths. Man-yi is the 6th tropical cyclone to hit the country in the past month. In northern Vietnam, the capital, Hanoi, is struggling with air pollution. Although the government is taking action to reduce emissions, UN experts say more needs to be done. Cadence Quaranto reports.
A thick veil of smog over Vietnam's capital city of Hanoi, the gray haze making some buildings barely visible from afar. More and more, the city's air quality has been categorized as unhealthy, largely because of a high concentration of PM 2.5, tiny particles in the air which can penetrate deep into people's lungs and cause serious diseases.
Thì so với em thì nó sẽ ảnh hưởng đến sức khỏe của trẻ, thứ nhất là trẻ nhỏ, thứ hai là người già nữa. Với thanh niên bọn em thì cũng cảm giác cũng bình thường thôi.
Vietnam's air pollution has been a problem for years, and it's especially bad in Hanoi. One air quality monitor has ranked it among the most polluted cities in the world. UN experts say air pollution is responsible for at least 70,000 deaths per year in Vietnam and has shortened the country's average lifespan by more than 1 year.
Và rất muốn cái không khí làm sao mà cho nó trong lành. Chính vì thế mà cứ đến ngày hẹn của bệnh viện, đến bệnh viện xong là các bà bao giờ cũng ra Hồ Gươm để ngồi để hoài niệm về những gì ngày tuổi thơ của mình được hưởng.
The microscopic particulate pollution in Hanoi's air mainly comes from emissions from the city's millions of cars and motorbikes, as well as industry and construction, a government official told local media. Vietnam has taken some action, aiming to bring net greenhouse gas emissions to zero by 2050, and proposing a plan to restrict high-polluting vehicles in some areas. But UN experts say the country can still do more to address air pollution. For now, ordinary people have no choice but to breathe in the smog. Eason Chen and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
Hundreds of anglers have cast their lines in an eco-friendly fishing competition in southern Taiwan. The competition took place at a reservoir in Hutopi Scenic Area in Tainan City. Participants used eco-friendly lures and targeted only invasive species. The event's organizers say they hope it will help educate children and promote sustainable fishing. Farmers in southern Taiwan's Pingtung County are finding it extra hard to plant red beans this season. An invasive species is eating up all the plants. Sandy Chi went to the farmlands to find out what's going on.
It's raining green iguanas here in Pingtung in southern Taiwan. But this isn't a sign of thriving local wildlife. Rather, it's the result of an invasive species taking root and spreading in the area. And as they multiply, they're causing serious damage to local crops, especially the local red beans. The iguanas are so bold, they even feed in broad daylight.
这你咧死食的，这食了真严重啊！损失嘛真严重，因为损失种落到收成，这一轮地收的头2万块，啊，真好食的，竟然成本都无，上严重像真咱倒好食一区，倒好食半区较加啊。
Red bean planting season started in October, and within just a few weeks, the green iguanas chewed through local fields, devastating the farmers' young tender crops. Some farmers set up nets around their plants to protect them.
每天都来看，围网子抓小只的，大只的很有力，抓不起来。
The method isn't very effective. Setting up nets is time-consuming and pricey.
我们不是渔民，我们每天再去买渔网，不是来捞鱼哦，不是来捕鱼哦，我们来抓绿鬣蜥。慢慢我们的农田就会被这些外来的物种给入侵啊，再也没有农人愿意去从事生产，还没到成熟的红豆的时候就已经被绿鬣蜥吃掉了。那我花了1次的钱、2次的钱、3次的钱，我为什么要种？我就改行了嘛，我来卖渔网，我还赚的比红豆还多。
哦，真干啊！我这迄落安糟蹋甲会死呢。我安一区哦，3工无去，甲食一半呢。我用网啊网着我杀来杀我死啊
！Many farmers have turned to the area's councillor, Hong Zhongqi, for help. This is when the local government can step in to help arrange hunters to remove the iguanas.
到目前为止啊，大概我们接获通报的农民数大概超过100人。
To remove the green iguanas, hunters head out during the night when they're easier to capture. They use slingshots and snake tongues to capture as many as they can. Pingtung County is seeing an ever-growing population of iguanas, with more removed each year. The number of removals increased from 4,000 to over 34,000 in recent years. With such a large population of green iguanas in Pingtung and the red bean planting season underway, removing the lizards isn't just about controlling an invasive species. It's a critical step in supporting local farmers and protecting their livelihoods. Hang Shu and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan has endured its first loss at the Premier 12 baseball tournament, falling 3-1 to defending champion Japan at the Taipei Dome. The defeat brings Taiwan's group stage record to 2 wins and 1 loss. The top 2 teams from each group will advance to the Super Round in Japan. The WBSC Premier 12 is held every 4 years and features the world's top 12 national teams. Taiwan is set to face Australia on Sunday night. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, let's play out with some images of the world's largest coral discovered in the Solomon Islands. I'm Louise Watt. Take care. We'll see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan, Paris, France, and around the world, please follow TaiwanPlus on social media and download our app. Man, that's beautiful.